In the year 2048, Earth faces a dire crisis. Nuclear war has left the planet overpopulated, with resources depleted and the environment in decay. Mankind faces inevitable extinction if a solution doesn't present itself. In response, the government initiates a radical program designed to genetically modify a selected group of individuals to survive on Titan, the Saturn's moon, in hopes of establishing a new civilization. 14 elite volunteers, along with their families, are chosen for this unprecedented mission. To accommodate them, a specially designed high-tech neighborhood is created, where they will live in luxurious, futuristic homes while undergoing experiments. One of these volunteers is Rick Jansen, a former Air Force pilot with an exceptional survival record. Years ago, Rick survived a plane crash and, despite being severely injured, managed to traverse the Syrian desert without food or water for 3 days. His resilience and endurance make him a prime candidate for the program. He is joined by his wife, Abigail, who is a doctor, and their young son, Lucas. Abigail, though supportive of the mission, worries that Rick may get sick due to the potential health effects of the procedure. Dr. Collingwood, the program's lead scientist, reassures her that while some complications may arise, but they would be temporary and proper aftercare is all that be needed. Once all the families settle into their new homes, the volunteers attend their first meeting with Collingwood. He presents a detailed briefing on the program's purpose, emphasizing the necessity of colonizing Titan, the only other celestial body in the solar system with an atmosphere. However, Titan's environment is very harsh. Its frigid temperatures and methane-filled lakes make human habitation impossible under normal circumstances. Therefore, program aims to genetically enhance the volunteers, enabling them to adapt to the moon's harsh conditions. During the briefing, one volunteer expresses concern about the risks involved, questioning how their bodies will accept the genetic modifications. Collingwood acknowledges that while previous clinical trials were successful, there is no absolute guarantee of survival. The volunteer remains skeptical, but Rick, already committed to the mission, shuts him down, reminding everyone that they are free to leave if they cannot accept the risks. The volunteers, handpicked from around the world, all share a history of surviving extreme hardships, further proving their resilience. After the meeting, each volunteer receives a card key granting them unrestricted access to the facility. They begin their treatment with the first of 300 injections designed to alter their DNA over the coming weeks. Dr. Freya, a key scientist in the project, attempts to explain the science behind each shot, though Rick does not pay much attention to it. Everyone was having a great time. Abigail often takes Lucas out for walks and picks him up from school. Whenever she has the time, she stays with Rick during his treatment, offering him company and comfort. The volunteers develop a strong bond, and their close proximity allows them to throw dinner parties and celebrations. These events provide moments of joy but also give rise to anxieties. One volunteer voices his fear that the government may not allow them to return after their 2-year mission on Titan. At one of these parties, everyone drinks more than usual. After all, it's their final party together. Abigail ends up getting quite intoxicated, so Rick decides to help her back to her room. But as they're heading up the stairs, Rick suddenly feels dizzy and collapses. Shocked, Abigail quickly pulls herself together and helps him instead. He faces severe breathing difficulty and an intense fever. Realizing something is seriously wrong, she rushes him to the room, panic setting in as the night takes an unexpected turn. As time passes, Collingwood monitors the volunteers' genetic progress through various tests. The next major test involves holding their breath underwater for an extended period. While many drop out early, Rick and another volunteer, Tally, outlast the rest, engaging in a competitive challenge. Tally lasts for an impressive 39 minutes, but Rick surpasses her, remaining submerged even longer. What astonishes everyone is not just his endurance but his swimming technique. He moves swiftly and effortlessly, resembling a dolphin rather than a human. However, troubling signs soon emerge. One evening during an intimate moment in the pool, Abigail notices black veins appearing on Rick's body. Before she can react, they disappear, leading her to dismiss it as a hallucination. Meanwhile, the volunteers undergo their first surgical procedure. During a visit from Rianne, another volunteer's wife, Abigail listens to her growing concerns. Rianne believes her husband does not belong in the program and is terrified of what might happen next. Abigail reassures her, emphasizing that their sacrifices will secure a future for their children. Rick appears to recover well from the surgery. At the same time, the program intensifies with increasingly strenuous tests, including simulations of Titan's harsh environment. Tally, determined to push her limits, endures extreme cold longer than she should in an attempt to compete with Rick, prompting Rick to teach her underwater meditation techniques. Then disaster strikes. One of the female volunteers suffers a violent seizure, coughing up blood before collapsing. Despite the doctor's efforts, she dies, marking the first casualty of the experiment. The remaining volunteers, deeply shaken, convene to discuss the incident. Some contemplate quitting, but others remind them they knew the risks from the beginning. That night, defying the prohibition on alcohol, they drink to numb their grief. During this somber gathering, Abigail observes that all the volunteers occasionally display black veins, a troubling sign of their transformation. Tensions escalate when Zane, another volunteer, suddenly snaps and attacks his wife Rienne, forcing the others to restrain him. The next day, Dr. Freya arrives to distribute new medication intended to prevent further violent outbursts. Abigail inquires about high doses but receives no clear answers. Her concerns grow when she discovers hidden cameras installed throughout their home, confirming that the program is monitoring them constantly. As Rick continues to mutate, his skin begins peeling and his hair falls out. When the next major surgery alters the volunteer's eyes to resemble a cat, Rick suffers excruciating pain, his eyes bleeding profusely. Meanwhile, Abigail investigates further, uncovering shocking documents that reveal the true nature of the experiment that the volunteers are being infused with animal DNA to create a new species, Homo titanians. Chaos erupts when Zane, now fully transformed, goes insane and kills Rienne before being gunned down by the military. The Pentagon, horrified by the experiment's failures as many program participants exhibit abnormal aggression, they order its termination. Collingwood, however, is determined to see it through. When Rick's transformation is nearly complete, he and Tally become unrecognizable, communicating through low-frequency sounds and tactile contact. Abigail, heartbroken, realizes she has lost the man she once knew. One night, Tally enters Abigail's house with blood dripping from her hand. Apparently, she has killed her husband. Rick gets closer to Tally and they start to communicate in some frequency inaudible to humans. Immediately, the military arrives and finds Andrew dead in the shower. They turn towards Abigail's house where Rick and Tally are present. Abigail takes Lucas upstairs and hide while military try to take down Tally with tranquilizers but fail, and Tally kills one of the soldiers with her tentacles, hence forcing other soldiers to open fire on her, and she gets killed. Rick kills a soldier who approaches him before Abigail could stop him. Rick then runs away and Colonel Solano orders his team to look out for Rick, but in the meantime, Collingwood reminds them not to kill Rick as he is an expensive asset. Abigail is taken to base along with Lucas. Collingwood explains to Abigail that Pentagon is shutting down the project and they need to send Rick to the Titan quickly, but Rick is refusing leave because of his memories associated with the people on Earth. Therefore, Collingwood asks Abigail to give a shot of Quetiapine which will erase all of his memories. Abigail agrees, but as she is about to inject him, she dropped the shot, exchanging it with a saline injection instead. Rick pretends to go unconscious while Collingwood doesn't notice anything until Abigail leaves with Dr. Freya while Rick escapes after kills the men. At that moment, Collingwood realizes that Abigail injected Rick with saline injection instead of Quetiapine. Freya guides Abigail and Lucas to the exit point where they meet heavily wounded Rick. Suddenly, the soldiers surround them. Collingwood asks the soldiers to open the fire, but Colonel Solano refuses to open fire on unarmed women and innocent kid. Instead, he points his gun towards Collingwood and they arrest him. Abigail rushes towards Rick and hugs him, reinforcing their bond. Sometime later, it is shown that Abigail and Freya are now researchers on the Titan II project, vowing to do it in a more ethical manner. Meanwhile, Rick is seen on Titan and now he has wings to fly above the vast lands and oceans.